The New York Rangers defeat the Florida Panthers by a score of 6-2 at Madison Square Garden. I think the score of this game is a bit misleading. Didn't think the Rangers really played their best game. I guess you could say a bit opportunistic. A lot of good things did happen though. And that'll be important moving forward. The Rangers had some different line combinations. I think that it's a step in the right direction, but definitely still going to be some changes are still going to need to be made as far as the roster. Johnny Brodzinski sent down to Hartford, and so I think the main reason for that is Jake Lecision, who I'm not really a big fan of. I don't think Lecision's been all that impressive, and so the current fourth line is not great because he's the center. It's with Kravtsov and Gauthier. So Julian Gauthier returns, and had a chance. Like it wasn't again he doesn't play much, but there was like one opportunity that I can remember that was halfway decent. But that fourth line is not great. Ideally, you could have like a Goodrow on that fourth line. So these were the lines that were in for tonight. It was Zibanejad centering Panarin and Kreider, with Kreider on the right side. And that line, it was okay. I actually thought that Panarin and Zibanejad showed some pretty decent chemistry, which we haven't always seen, but it was decent. And Kreider on the right side, it's just not a good fit there. So I think that's ultimately going to be changed. You get the kid line back, and the kid line was good. And I'm fine with sticking with that, but I feel like ultimately, because of other things, that's going to have to be moved around. Lafreniere, I thought, was a step in the right direction for him, and that's important. He finally scores a goal. It was like his first goal in like his last 18 games. And what was good was Rangers had a couple of greasy goals, which you don't normally see for the Rangers, but the Lafreniere goal, and then Jimmy Vesey, who was on a line with Trocheck and Goodrow. I really like that line. I think the biggest thing is, and this is what I said last time, taking Trocheck and putting Trocheck and Panarin on different lines, I think is really important. And I think you got to go in that direction. Now, for me, I would have liked it to be Panarin with Hedl. Something like that, I think would have been better than putting Kreider on his offside. But look, if they stuck with this next game, I'm okay with it. It just makes the fourth line really bad. Like, ideally, you have specifically Goodrow, because right now, besides Lecision, Goodrow is really your only fourth line center option. Sammy Blais is a healthy scratch, which again I'm okay with. He just hasn't been all that good, unfortunately, and so I'm totally fine with that. But so just looking into the future, I think you're going to need to tweak some things. But I think generally, concept-wise, having Trocheck with more players that are more north-south, not like Panarin, I think is going to do them well. Kind of like what we saw with Kreider, Trocheck, Vesey. That was a really good line when they were together. So I think that it's a step in the right direction, but definite tweaks need to be made. Defensively, the Lindgren-Fox pair went a +5. I mean, they've just been really good. Adam Fox +22 this year, Ryan Lindgren +20. That's really impressive. Considering how much they play, it's really good. And so tonight I felt like the top players, at least from a statistical point of view, got the job done, and the lesser players weren't great. Like Harper, Schneider had its struggles, I felt, specifically Harper, but I didn't think they were all that good, and that fourth line wasn't very good. But again, that's really nitpicking, because the Rangers, they won the game, and I think it helped that they faced Alex Lyon, the third string for Florida. Not that Bobrovsky is, dynamite by any means, and Spencer Knight, has been a bit touch and go, and he's had his struggles in games versus the Rangers. But the Rangers, when you think about it, they've really had the Florida Panthers number, right? Like, I think Florida, who was really good last year, the Rangers had some success against them. They did lose a game in Florida, one of the rare games they lost last year when leading going into the third. But this year, they just score a lot of goals against the Panthers, and that kind of makes sense. Florida, when I think about them, it's a team that can, that they're a speed team, but just defensively, they do give up a lot of goals. They really do. And now you just look at that defense. You throw an a much older Mark Stahl And it's funny, Mark Stahl almost, he had a pretty prime scoring opportunity, but Shesterkin made a nice save. But Mark Stahl, who's, now 36 and, really on his last legs, it's just not, look, there's Aaron Ekblad, who, is really, really very, very good. And it's been a bit of a struggle from this year, but he's had some bad injuries in the past. But I don't know. I just look at it, and it's just not that impressive of a group. So for the Rangers, they took advantage of that. They took advantage of probably some subpar goaltending, but some good stuff. Look, they go 1-4 on the power play as well. We'll talk about that. But the Rangers improved to 26-14-7. And right now they find themselves third in the Metropolitan Division, and with a little bit of distance like in front and behind, where they're like about 5 points behind the Devils, and they're probably about the same ahead of, let's say, like Pittsburgh and Washington. So right now, and again, a lot of season to go, but it would appear that they might find themselves again in that 2-3 Metro matchup. Last year they finished in the 2 spot. This year maybe in the 3, but again, ways to go. And let's talk about this game. So Igor Shesterkin and Igor, I thought was really good tonight. That kind of gets lost. And how could I not bring this up? Igor Shesterkin almost scored an empty net goal. That would have been the highlight of the night for sure. That would have been the highlight of the night. I would have opened up with it, but unfortunately just wide. It was a 3-goal game as well, so you don't mind him doing it in that spot, but just wide. He will score eventually, but it wasn't tonight. But I thought Igor was really strong for the Rangers in this one. In the first period, and you know what? There weren't a whole lot of penalties in this game. Adam Fox scores on a breakaway at 3:03 of the first, his 10th goal of the season from Panarin and Zibanejad. And for Fox, it's just, he has been sensational. Only because there are a lot of other good defensemen, like he really has to be in that Norris candidate conversation. Like, he's been that good all around. And when I think about like Rangers MVPs for the first half, it's Fox for sure. It really is Fox for sure. Now, if Igor gets back to last year's level, then we're going to have a conversation. But let's just take him aside for skaters. Adam Fox by a lot. Mika Zibanejad deserves, some credit as well, but I still think it's Fox by a good amount. So Adam Fox scores. Nice move as well. That's why I say, like, on the breakaway, and look, Alex Lyon's not a great goalie, but Fox, he's got to be in that top 5 in the shootout. I really think so. And so Fox scores from Panarin and Zibanejad, and let's remember that combination, that trio. The Rangers make it 1-0 right there. Then there's a too many men on the ice penalty at 4:24, and I must say, on the Rangers, it was a defense issue, and it kind of seemed like it was Fox's fault, which is strange because he would never make mistakes like that, but Harper and Schneider and Fox were on at the same time, and Fox got off. So it had to have been between Fox and Schneider. I don't know. I think Fox just kind of wasn't thinking, which again, I'm just speculating, but there was definitely some miscommunication going on, and the Panthers get a power play, and they score on the power play to tie it up. And it's a goal by Carter Verhaeghe, his 23rd of the season from Lundell and Luostarinen. And this was a goal where the penalty goal has been pretty good for the Rangers. However, they're giving up goals on the rush. And it's some soft defense. And yeah, so goals on the rush, I've noticed, have been a theme lately, for the penalty kill of the Rangers. Got to tighten that up. And so it's 1-1. And then, the game kind of hits a bit of a lull in the first. Not a whole lot of action. Jimmy Vesey did hit a post, and that was when it was still 1-0. But at 15:53, Nick Cousins cross-checks Chris Kreider. That's a penalty. So on the Rangers' one power play chance, a switch, which I'm happy about, but it comes with a little grain of salt. The second unit started it out. They got the first 30 seconds, and they got a scoring chance, and then they got taken off. So as much as I'm happy that the second unit was on to start, that's a step in the, I keep on saying this, step in the right direction, but they took them off into 30 seconds. But I'm not going to complain because the first unit scored. And it was Mika Zibanejad, a patented Zibanejad one-time slap shot and an assist from Panarin and Fox. So again, that trio combines for this goal. So Zibanejad on the power play, and where last year Kreider had a shit ton of power play goals, this year it's Zibanejad. He has really been scoring a lot of power play goals. Rangers take a 2-1 lead into the second. Second period was really all Panthers. all Panthers, and the Panthers outshot them 14-7. Rangers really didn't get anything going at all offensively. However, a greasy goal by that Trocheck line, and it was a prideful goal. Jimmy Vesey scores the 8th goal of the season from Goodrow, who was whacking away as well before that, and Trocheck. And so the Rangers take a 3-1 lead. That was a big goal. Rangers do take a penalty at 17:10 of the second. Ben Harper trips Matt Tkachuk, but the Rangers do a really nice job on the PK. Shesterkin had a really strong second period, and the Rangers take that 3-1 lead going into the third. And at 7:56, the kid line gets on the board. It's another close-in goal. And look, Alexis Lafreniere in his career, most of his goals come right at the goal mouth, right there. And look, some might make fun of that, but I think that deserves, look, that's not an easy thing to always do. To go in there, get into the fight, and that's how you win games. And Lafreniere is able to score a greasy goal, his sixth goal of the season from Kakko and Hedl. Rangers take a 4-1 lead, and then 14 seconds later, Zibanejad, his second goal of the game, his 22nd goal of the season from Panarin and Fox. So 3 points on the night for Zibanejad, for Panarin, and Fox. And the Rangers take a 5-1 lead. Really nice pass by Panarin, and a really nice shot by Mika. And then the Panthers actually pull the goalie down 4, and they do score. It's Alexander Barkov, his 13th goal of the season from Tkachuk and Montour. And it's a 5-2 game. This is when, maybe 3-4 minutes later, Shesterkin has that chance at the empty net. Unsuccessful. Eventually, it's Filip Hedl, who it seems like he's probably scored at least 3 empty net goals this year. But Hedl, he really has been awesome. Filip Hedl, the Ranger fans should be proud of what he has accomplished this season. Has been very, very good. Statistically and just the eye test, he's really carried over that playoff success into the regular season. It's Hedl's 13th goal of the season from Kakko and Lafreniere. So 2 points each for the kid line. It's a 6-2 Ranger lead. They win by that 6-2 score. And now they will face the, red-hot Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me just confirm that. Maybe not red-hot. Last time they were truly, white-hot. But the Maple Leafs are 29-11-8. And here's what I'll say. Toronto is 18-3-4 at home. So this will be a really tough test for the Rangers. They played there twice last year. The first game was that kind of classic Igor, 40-plus save. Panarin won it in overtime. Igor won that game. And then the other one, Rangers played pretty well. They lost 2-1. Those were struggles. Scoring goals were not easy in that game. So this will be an interesting one for me. This will be a good test against the Toronto Maple Leafs, one of the better teams in the league. I want to see how they look here. And then they'll finish off with the Vegas Golden Knights back at MSG, who they did have success with at Vegas. However, Vegas has shown to be a very strong road team. So, but look, beating Florida was a good thing, considering the fact that Florida had really been coming in playing well. Florida, really desperate to make the playoffs. They're going to be in the running. I think when all is said and done, they'll be in the mix for one of the last couple of spots. I don't know if they'll get in, but they'll have a chance. And the Rangers beat them. And now it'll be a little bit of a tougher test at Toronto. Will these lines stay? Probably to start the next game, but I wouldn't even be shocked if it gets tweaked going into it. But I think with the slightest struggles, it definitely will be. But steps, that's the theme for this. Step in the right direction. Trocheck and Panarin away from each other does a lot of good, but there's still, again, I think there's still changes to be made. And we'll see what happens. I think the kid line is going to have to be broken up to accommodate some of these changes. And, you might have to move Kreider away from Zibanejad. I don't mind going back to that Kreider, Trocheck, Vesey line and putting Goodrow down to the 4th. I don't mind trying that out. In order to do that, though, Kravtsov will probably have to find his way back on the top 9, which I don't know if that'll happen. We'll see. But if and when the Rangers make a move at the deadline, that'll help a lot. Whether that be a 4th-line addition just to make the 4th line better, or adding a top 9 player and then therefore bumping down a Goodrow and/or a Vesey to that 4th line. Because, again, you want to really be able to roll 4 lines, and you can't do that right now. You definitely can't. I don't think that Jake Leschyshyn, when all is said and done, will still be here, but they probably will give him a long look, in the month of February. I think he'll stick around, and I think, maybe by the deadline, maybe even sooner, I think maybe they decide, hey, let's try to send him down, and we'll see if he clears waivers. But anyway, Rangers beat Florida Panthers at Madison Square Garden by a score of 6-2.